Yo, what's up? It's Inky Joji here. Don't really have a script, so I'm just kind of going off this on the fly. Today we're going to be making Slam Bam from Lost Islands into an actual figure. We're going to be using the Series 1 Spyro's Adventure model of Slam Bam as well for it. I kind of teased it in my collection video and my Skylander hunting video, so I hope you guys enjoy. But without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, I took Slam Bam apart off camera. I also have this old pizza box, and this is what we're going to be making his surfboard from. So I cut out his surfboard a little bit. I made sure that it matched up with his legs to be sure that he fits on it. And then we started mixing up our plaster. This plaster is what we're going to coat a lot of our stuff in to bulk it out. I also really enjoy the texture that it builds. So we're going to start here. We're going to put some plaster on Slam Bam's legs. These are going to eventually turn into his shorts. So we will eventually clear coat this and then paint over it later to make it look all pretty. But right now I'm just trying to buff this out, you know, to sort of give it the illusion of swim trunks. We continued mixing up some of that plaster, and this is what we're going to do to make that board sturdy, since it's just a cardboard pizza box. So that was our first layer right there. I set that off to the side and let it dry, and now I'm going to dip a little bit of the plaster around his shoulder to sort of give him that lay, those flowers, and most of the detailing will be in the paint later on. So after that first layer of plaster dried on that surfboard, I went ahead and started adding some more. It was kind of chipping off. It was still wet. I think I did it too early, but that will all get fixed up at the end with a little bit of clear coat. So right here, I am going to make a little bit of a wave out of that plaster to sort of hold his board and to give him a little bit of balance on that. And so as that plaster was drying, I was following it upwards with my paintbrush to sort of give it the illusion of that. We will also be chipping it down with an X-Acto knife later to give it more of the illusion of that flowing water. So here we go again. I am finishing off his swim trunks with one more layer of plaster. We're almost done with that. Here we go. We're sharpening down that wave to sort of give it that flat edge. That'll make the surfboard sit a lot nicer. I don't think it shows on camera, but I sand down a little bit of the bottom of that surfboard where it should set. Yep, so just testing that out, making sure that it looks like it would set well. Alright, we have to cover up his eyes because we are now going to be getting into the painting process, and we don't want to mess up those little beautiful abominable snowman eyes. Also wanted to make sure I sanded down those feet so that they sit on the board nicely once it is all painted and done with. Alright, here we go with the first layer of spray paint. We're going to do this to sort of set a base coat. It's also going to seal a lot of that plaster together to prevent cracks. We're going to go with pink for Slam Bam. This should help with setting that pink skin tone for his actual figure. Alright, now we're going to get out these shades of blue to paint that wave and that surfboard. So first off, we're going to start with this wave here. I wanted to kind of match it to the base color, but I wanted to make it a little bit different to give it more of like a foamy type of thing instead of like a clear type of thing. So that's also why I went with the plaster for that. So we're going to cover that with a turquoise, kind of covering up a little bit of these spots as well that were from cutting him off the base. Here we go, we're going to be doing the surfboard. I'm going to do turquoise to start. We're going to change it a little bit, and we're going to darken that later to really separate that board from that wave, even though it's not fully accurate to the game or the artwork in that game. Alright, to give the wave that little bit of texture, we're going to buff that out with some white paint while the turquoise is still wet. It's definitely going to smooth it out, and then we're going to go back and we're going to add a little bit of darker blue to that surfboard. This should also help with the contrast between the board and the wave. Alright, and now we're going to be taking some hot paint to Slam Bam's skin. We're going to make him look all pretty and beautiful. We're going to cover up some of the spots that didn't get fully covered by that spray paint. Again, that was just a base coat. So as you can see, we finally got a bunch of the flats and background colors down, so let's get into some detailing. Also, enjoy my Bad Apple Monster collection. Oh my gosh, wait, Autumn's here too. Hi, Autumn. Alrighty, so this is what it looks like so far. Let's get into detailing. So let's start buffing out some of that fur. So we're going to be giving him that contrast finally. Giving those softer tones in the fur. There's going to take a lot of coats to cover up the pink. And that color is going to continue to chip off, and we're going to continue to see the pink under up until the finished figure. Yay! Now we're going to paint his swim trunks so he's not naked. So I'm going to mix up this little like lime green mixed with like a little bit of baby blue for that swim trunk, the first coat, and then we're going to be doing a lighter version of that, mostly an off-white version mixed with the current acrylic that I mixed now to give it sort of that detailing later on. So there we go, we're going to be detailing, adding some like flowers and other little swirls and effects to really give him that texture. Flower time! Let's start making some of those flowers. So we are going to be mixing up a little bit of orange with a little bit of yellow to give it sort of that tint. This should allow it to fade and sort of make it look more flower-ish. Now we're going to make his meat gloves look like my meat gloves. We're going to paint his fingernails black to get them back to that sort of original color. It's also going to separate the nails from his hands in terms of color, which is going to be cool. Also, we're going to redetail the mouth because I forgot to put tape over that. Whoa, everything's almost finished. Yeah, I put some clear coat over everything. We're going to start gluing stuff together now. So it took me a little bit to get the balance of the board that I liked, and that would fit well with Slam Bam. Most of it was done off camera, but we finally got it. It was probably the worst part of the entire process. So we mixed a little bit of super glue with a little bit of hot glue. It honestly made it really, really strong, and I'm proud of the connection that it was able to build. So with that hot glue and that super glue mix, we're going to put Slam Bam on that board. It took a little bit to balance him. Again, a majority of the glue magic happened off camera. So, I think we're about ready for that final reveal. Let's see it, Slam Bam. Is it the best Skylanders custom in the world? Definitely not. But as someone who doesn't make customs very often, I am quite proud with this. I think this is the most in-depth custom that I have done to date. And honestly, I'm interested in possibly making more. If y'all have any suggestions for any more custom Skylanders, feel free to let me know. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.